Shabbat shalom, everybody. Rabbi Shmuel ben Yehoshua with you, Rashbi, Rabbi Stephen Epstein with this upcoming Devar Torah, with this upcoming portion. So it's getting very close to our high holidays. Are you ready? So the high holidays are pretty tough. People a lot of times go through the motions. They go to synagogue, they say they say the prayers, they do what they fast, they do what they got to do, and then they go back out in the world and it's like nothing ever happened. It is said that God will forgive you if you ask for forgiveness. But there's a catch, there's a condition. And that condition, and this I believe is Kabbalah, God will put you in the same situation that you were in when you did the sin, the wrong thing, whatever it is you're atoning for, and see how you handle it. Have you learned something? Are you doing the same thing again? And if you don't, well, God will not forgive you. But let's be clear. God is perfect. God is divine. So God knows what's in our heart. But other people do not. Other people do not know what's in our heart. That's why it's very important that you make amends to people. I think 12-step does this, doesn't it? You go to people that you've harmed and you make amends to them or you apologize. Wonder where they got that from, right? But that's Judaism. That's the high holidays. That's what Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur is all about. It's about making amends. It's about going to people that you believe you've harmed and apologize. So people have asked me, well, is this the only time that we do this during Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur? No, we do it all the time. It's part of our weekly Amidah. Forgive me for I have sinned, pardon me for I have erred. It's what we say every day when it's not Shabbat or a festival, unless it's Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur, right? So this is something that we're constantly thinking about doing wrong. We're not perfect people, and God understands that. And we as people should accept that. We make mistakes, but it's important that we rectify the mistake. That's the big thing, that we rectify it, that we make it good. Right? I've been in business and I told people, I said, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. And I'm gonna fix it. Because that's what you got to do. Anybody could say, I'm sorry. Anybody could say, well, I understand how you feel. Customer service people do that. And you say, okay, what are you going to do about it? Well, I'm sorry. Then what good's the apology? It's only good if you're going to rectify the situation. So it's interesting that in these latter portions of Deuteronomy, this is what Moses is talking about. Nitzvim Vayelch. Nitzvim. This is our triennial portion. And it's the whole parsha, even though it's a double portion. Nitzvim. You are all standing here. The men, the women, the children, the priests, the ministers, the righteous convert with you, the people that want to be part of the community, the water hewer, the animals, everybody, people that are not even here yet. So Moses is basically making the commitment for future generations, for their ancestors, and that's us. He's saying, look, I know you people. I know what you're going to do. I know you're going to follow false gods. I know you're going to not follow the Torah. And it's been laid out pretty clear what's going to happen. We know you're a stiff-necked people. That's why in the Tochacha, the warning that we had the other last portion, the good things takes up what, about, maybe 8 verses or something. Yeah, if you do what you're supposed to do, then, the sky will give its rain in the proper seasons and the earth will yield its produce and 5 of you will chase 1,000 or 100, whatever the number is. Okay. But then if you don't do what you're supposed to do, and it goes on and on and on for like 40 verses, At first the ground will not yield. It'll be, you'll build a house and somebody else will live in it. You'll try to go farming and nothing will happen. And, five of your enemy will chase 1,000 of you, et cetera, et cetera. You will be slaves. You will wish you were slaves. And this is the whole consequence of not following Torah, not doing what you're supposed to do. Now it's real easy to go on and say there are Jews today that are not following Judaism. But I'm not going to get into it because it's a very touchy subject, but I think you all know what I'm talking about. But we have to be aware, we as Jews have to be aware that we have a legacy. It is very unfortunate that there are synagogues that are dissolving. We had that situation with our own synagogue. We had another synagogue come join us. Unfortunately, it didn't grow. And you see this all over the place. When I was a kid, years ago, conservative Judaism was 75% of Judaism. We went to school. I've said this, on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Sundays. It was my whole life. Those are my memories from being a kid. But today, you try to get a kid into Hebrew school, to religious school for, a couple of hours on a Sunday. It's really tough. They got stuff going on. The parents are going away. There's just, then for a bar mitzvah, they don't really appreciate what they're doing. Some kids do. I shouldn't say that. Some kids do. They have it in their heart and they feel it. And that's a good thing. But, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. How do you make somebody believe or feel attached to the commandments? It's 613 do's and don'ts. More like 400 today, because a lot of those, about a third, I believe, of the commandments in the Torah involve the offerings in the temple and what they do in the temple, what the priests and the Levites did, which is not what Judaism is today. It's rabbinical. We had to go to that because we don't have a temple. So how hard is it sometimes to live in a society where buyer beware? Okay, we don't believe that. We don't. You put everything on the table, then people think, oh, you're making yourself vulnerable. People are going to take advantage of you. Well, then let them. Then that's what happens. People, you got to stand up for yourself for sure. And you have to be aware. And sometimes you may get taken advantage of, but you learn from it and you learn to be careful. In other words, we want to have it all. We want to be able to do commandments. We want to be righteous and we want to succeed and we want to make sure we succeed. And you know what? Good for our ancestors over the last 2,000 years for doing that. Life in Europe was not easy. Our ancestors didn't know how long they were going to be in a place that they settled until the government, the king's men, turned against them. Look at Spain. Spain had a golden age. Kabbalah was developed in the Middle Ages in Spain. Next thing you know, in 1492, right, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, ostensibly with a whole crew of Jews that wanted to get away. We got kicked out. And, Spain became even today, is Spain a friend to Israel? Well, France too. France, England, we were kicked out. We were money lenders and, they decided they didn't want to pay us back, so they kicked us out of the country. See? So this is what we've put up with for the last 2,000 years. And we've stayed the course. And because our ancestors stayed the course during those trying times, we now have Israel that is thriving. Yes, they're under attack. Okay. But God is rewarding us. And this is something we need to be aware of. Okay. Those actions of keeping the course, even under the worst situations, the worst circumstances, has led us to our success, and we need to persevere in that. That's what these high holidays now are about. We need to look at our failings. We need to look at our issues. But you know what? We need to stay close to those commandments, and we need to study Torah, and we need to know what's expected of us, and we need to be an example to the world. Shabbat Shalom.